Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're diving into a heartfelt story about Alex, his family, and the emotional journey to bring Tuna back to the farm. From tender family moments to quiet regrets, and from business negotiations to decisions that could change lives, this episode is filled with warmth, tension, and hope. If you enjoy it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. The sun was already slipping down toward the horizon, painting the village road in a warm golden orange glow. The lakeside cabin caught the last light, its windows flickering like quiet lanterns. The door creaked open, and Mother stepped in, her bag weighing down her tired arms. Was the trip tiring? Alex asked softly, stepping forward to take the bag before she could answer. Mother sank into the armchair with a long exhale, her eyes bright with the warmth of old memories. It's been a while since I traveled so far. My body feels it, she said with a tired smile, recalling the countryside, the laughter of relatives, the endless questions about Alex and when he might marry. Alex smiled back, but the shadows under his eyes told a different story. His hair had grown wild, his jaw dark with stubble. Mother's gaze lingered on him, her heart tightening. "You look worn out. Get a haircut, son," she said gently but firmly. He nodded, though his mind seemed elsewhere. His hands went to the gift bag she had brought, her voice light as she said, "These are for Tuna." She didn't know Tuna had left the farm long ago. Alex didn't tell her. Instead, he let the silence sit heavy between them, the truth pressing against his chest. Outside, the lake caught the last light of the sunset, its calm surface holding secrets the family never spoke aloud. Mother studied her son, sensing a weight she couldn't quite name. Alex carried the bag inside, his steps slow, as if each one held a memory he couldn't put down. The autumn breeze slid in through the cracks, carrying the scent of fallen leaves. The day might have been ending, but something in the air hinted that their story was far from over. Inside, the fire crackled softly, the warmth of the cabin wrapping around them. But the warmth did little to ease the quiet tension in Alex's eyes as his thoughts drifted again to Tuna, somewhere beyond the lake. The kitchen was filled with the gentle pop and sizzle of eggs frying, the rich smell curling through the wooden cabin. Mother set a plate on the table, her gaze lingering on Alex and his sister. "You've made so many dishes," Alex said quietly, though there was an edge of distraction in his tone. His sister had just returned from the market, the scent of fresh produce clinging to her hair. She sat beside Mother, but it wasn't long before Tuna's name came up. "Alex, did you ever find Tuna?" she asked, her voice tinged with guilt. Alex gave a small nod. "I found her. She left the farm after you spoke to her, a little too harshly." His voice wasn't accusing, but there was a shadow in it. Mother froze mid-bite. "What happened to her? Why did you need to go looking?" Alex kept his tone steady, reassuring, though inside, memories churned. Days spent searching in the rain, the fever that followed, the sound of her name slipping from his lips in dreams. His sister lowered her head. "I thought it was my fault." "It's probably not," Alex said, though he could see the guilt still resting heavy on her. Outside the window, the moonlight rippled gently across the lake, its stillness a quiet contrast to the emotions at the table. Mother encouraged them to eat, but her eyes kept flicking toward Alex, reading the weight in his posture. The only sounds were the faint clink of chopsticks and the whisper of the autumn breeze sneaking in through the doorframe. Alex stared at the eggs in front of him, but his mind was far away, on Tu Tien, and the part of her story still untold. The firelight stretched long shadows across the walls, mirroring the words left unsaid between them. Later, the breeze carried him into the small barber shop on the corner, the yellow light inside soft against his tired face. "Cut my hair," he said simply, sinking into the chair. In the mirror, he barely recognized himself. Tangled hair, stubbled jaw, eyes dulled by weeks of worry. The scissors began their steady rhythm, snipping away the mess, each sound almost like a heartbeat slowing down. His mind drifted back to Tu Tien, searching for her in the rain, wondering if she would ever come back. He remembered her gentle eyes, shadowed by hurt. Then work thoughts pushed in. The contract, the slim margins, the pressure building like a weight on his chest. Mother's right, he thought with a faint smile. I do look worn out. He told himself that if Tu Tien returned, maybe some of that heaviness would lift. The faint scent of shampoo filled the air, and for a moment, the shop felt like a safe place. When it was done, he paid, stepped back out into the cool night, and turned toward the lake. The moon hung low, its light hazy, almost guiding him. His steps slowed as his resolve hardened. He had to bring her back, not just for the farm, but for something deeper. The street was quiet, the wind hinting at change. Somewhere ahead, the lake shimmered, holding the echo of his longing. The dirt path to Mrs. Tung's house was rough, scattered with golden leaves. Alex's sister walked it slowly, her chest heavy with guilt. The wooden house came into view, and there was Tu Tien, sweeping the yard. Her baby was asleep inside. I came to see you, the sister said, her voice trembling. Tu Tien looked up, surprised, but her eyes softened. Inside, they sat across from each other at a worn table, a simple glass of water between them. I'm sorry, the sister said, her eyes shining. She told Tu Tien about Alex, how he'd searched for her in the rain, feverish, calling her name in his sleep. Tu Tien's hands tightened in her lap. She hadn't known. I thought everything was my fault, the sister continued, her voice catching. It's not because of you, Tu Tien replied, though there was hesitation in her gaze. She told of her day's wandering, of Mrs. Tong's kindness, the roof over her head. Outside, the wind rustled the leaves like it was trying to soothe them both. The sister searched her face. I respect whatever you choose, but I hope you'll come back. Tu Tien stayed quiet, her eyes on her sleeping child. The sister stood, said goodbye, and stepped back onto the path. The sunset lit the horizon like a slow-burning flame. Tu Tien stood in the doorway, heart heavy, knowing the choice ahead could change everything. The lake, far off, caught the last light, still, but full of unspoken feelings. The sun slanted over the roadside cafe, its golden light spilling through the windows and illuminating the lines on Alex's face. He sat across from his partner, a middle-aged man whose sharp eyes measured every word. I'm Alex, glad to meet you in person, Alex said, his tone low but firm. The conversation moved straight into business. The bamboo contract, the prices, the quality. Alex led his partner to the grove, where 8-year-old bamboo trees stood tall beneath the warm afternoon light. 70% are type A, Alex explained, pointing to the straightest, strongest stalks. The partner nodded, but pressed for a lower price. Alex remained patient, carefully laying out the costs of labor and transportation. "If the price drops too low, we lose profit," he said, his eyes holding steady. The autumn breeze swept through the grove, carrying with it the earthy scent of bamboo, as though encouraging his resolve. After a long pause, the partner agreed. 18,500 VND for each type A tree. Alex let out a quiet breath of relief, though his heart was still weighted by thoughts of Tu Tien and how different the farm felt without her. "Can you take delivery next week when we harvest?" he asked, with a hint of hope. The partner nodded, shaking Alex's hand. Under the fading sun, the grove glowed softly, as if promising a new chapter. Alex walked back to his car, eased by the successful deal, but still carrying the heaviness of unfinished matters. The dirt road stretched toward the farm, and in his mind, the thought of bringing Tu Tien back flickered like a distant light. The lake shimmered in the distance, reflecting both his quiet determination and his longing. Each step toward the car felt like a bridge between duty and a personal ache he couldn't shake. Mrs. Tong's wooden house sat nestled beneath the trees, its yard bathed in the deep red glow of sunset. Alex arrived, his heart pounding faster as his eyes searched for Tu Tien. She stood holding her baby, her gaze warm but tinged with unease. "I came to ask if you've decided," Alex said, his voice quiet but sincere. Tu Tien hesitated, mentioning that his sister had come to apologize. Nearby, Mrs. Tong smiled, her voice gentle. "Alex is a good man. He cares for you and your child." Tu Tien lowered her head, her heart caught between gratitude and uncertainty. She remembered her struggles, the kindness she had received from Mrs. Tong, and Alex's determined search for her in the rain. "He was so sad because of you," Mrs. Tong added softly. Alex met Tu Tien's eyes, the hope in his own clear. "At the farm, things will be better for your baby," he said. Tu Tien nodded, her decision firm now. "I'll go back," she said, her voice soft yet steady. Relief passed through Alex like a quiet wind. He began to gather her belongings while Mrs. Tong cradled the baby, her eyes shining with emotion. The autumn breeze rustled through the trees, carrying with it the sound of leaves bidding farewell. Alex turned to Mrs. Tong, thanking her and promising to help her whenever she needed it. Tu Tien cast one last look at the house. Her heart pulled between gratitude for what it had given her and hope for what lay ahead. The sunset burned deep red, like a flame guiding her path forward. Alex stood beside her, ready to take her back to the farm, his heart lighter, but still shadowed by a quiet worry. The sunset blazed over the dirt road, dust swirling beneath the slow-turning wheels. Alex drove, Tu Tien sitting beside him, her baby sleeping peacefully in her arms. Their belongings were neatly packed in the trunk, carrying both the weight of the past and a cautious hope for the future. "Are you crying?" Alex asked quietly, glancing at her from the driver's seat. Tu Tien brushed away a tear and gave a small, faint smile, her eyes resting on her child. "Just missin' Mrs. Tong," she said. Outside the window, Mrs. Tong still stood in the yard, her stooped figure framed by the fading light, waving goodbye. "Stay healthy," Tu Na whispered, her voice catching, as if sending her words back across the distance. Alex kept his eyes on the road, the stretch of dirt leading toward the farm where Tu Na had once worked. He remembered how empty it had felt after she left, the quiet echoing in every corner. "You'll be okay at the farm," he said, his voice steady and reassuring. Tu Na nodded, but her gaze drifted back to the passing scenery outside, her mind wrestling with memories of the past. The cool autumn air slipped in through the half-open window, carrying with it the scents of lake water and fallen leaves. The baby stirred slightly, his eyes still closed, untouched by the thoughts and worries that filled the front seats. Alex glanced at Tu Na again, his relief at her return shadowed by a lingering fear. What if she changed her mind? Ahead, the lights of the farm began to appear in the distance, glowing faintly in the dusk like small flames of hope. In the rearview mirror, Mrs. Tong was already just a figure in the distance, but her blessing seemed to follow them down the road. Tu Na held her child closer, her resolve firming. Alex gripped the steering wheel, his heart as calm on the surface as the lake they were passing, yet with unseen ripples moving underneath. The quiet hum of the engine mingled with the soft rush of wind, marking the rhythm of their journey back. As the farm drew nearer, the fading sunset stretched long shadows across the road, shadows that seemed to mirror the delicate balance between trust and uncertainty, between what they had lost and what they still hoped to rebuild together. Alex returns to the lakeside cabin to welcome his weary mother, who brings gifts for Tu Na, unaware she left the farm. Over dinner, tension grows as his sister admits guilt over harsh words that drove Tu Na away. Memories of searching for her in the rain haunt Alex. Between business deals in the bamboo grove, his thoughts remain with her. His sister visits Tu Na, apologizing, and learns of her struggles and the kindness of Mrs. Tong. Encouraged by both women, Tu Na agrees to return for her baby's sake. Alex drives her back, the road filled with unspoken emotions, gratitude, hope, and uncertainty. The farm's distant lights promise a new start, though both know trust will take time to rebuild. The lake, calm but deep, mirrors their journey from loss toward the fragile possibility of healing.